Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Health Made Simple Show. I'm your host, Dr. Bart, another special episode. And part of what's making today's episode special is that I'm here, again, at my farm. So you might see my background. There's some woods, trees, plants, all that good stuff. And you might also hear in the background some geese, maybe some chickens, maybe some dogs, maybe some birds of sorts. So if you think you hear those, you probably are hearing those, maybe even catch a little bit of wind here and there. Anyways, so welcome. Love having you here. Great episode for you today. Today we're going to talk about, frankly, what I might consider the single most important supplement that we could be taking as humans. And I know that's a big, bold statement, and this is going to come far from what you think it is. And this is very unsexy relative to what's out there on Instagrams and all that kind of TikTok fun stuff. This is not something that's going to instantly create bigger muscles in your body or anti-age you by 40 years or any of those magical things, or take 40 pounds off your body of weight and whatnot. This is something that is fundamental, and I think is clinically that I find is one of the most fundamental things that is important for us, especially as we're trying to level up our health. So give some credence to it, listen to it. I will put a link to this very particular supplement that I'm going to recommend here. So, all right, let's keep doing our thing, keep sharing it out, keep spreading the love. Let's dive in. So the number one supplement that I believe that would benefit all of us, quite frankly, is a digestive enzyme. And I'm going to get very specific about which one I think is the best for us. I think they're all probably good for us, and there's some that are the single most best things that we can put into our body when it comes to leveling up our health. When we think about the idea of proper nutrition, and frankly, if we are not focused on nutrition first, then we're just kind of running backwards anyway. So anyways, once we start to improve our digestion, then really the question might be when we start to improve our nutrition, the question might be, is the food that I'm putting into my body, am I able to break these foods down and properly assimilate the vitamins, the minerals, the nutrients, the proteins, and the fats in such a way that my body can utilize them? And across the board, myself and many other doctors who are listening to this will probably agree, a lot of people do not have the tools in their body to be able to break down their foods properly. And this is problematic. So, and what are the problems? One, it might just never feel satiated. So you're always looking for food. And the other part is, then we start to move, if we can't break foods down, digest them properly in our stomach. And we're literally, the digestion starts in your mouth with your saliva in your mouth. But if we can't break them down, the food properly, so many things occur after that. That's what we're going to do a little deep dive in here. All right, so let's just start. Let me talk about different enzymes that we're talking about. And the primary one we're talking about today is something called hydrochloric acid. That is the stomach acid that we have. And this is a massively, probably misunderstood situation that's supposed to be taking place in our gut. In our gut, we're supposed to have a very, very acidic environment. So many people are talking about alkalinity and alkaline water and all these different things. Well, the reality is our stomach should be this big, massive vat of acid. And if you put something in there, it should be able to be broken down and dissolved. Typically, a little technical here, our stomach acidity should be about 2.0, 2.1, 2. Maybe up to 2.5. And in that environment, we can break down fats, we can break down proteins, we can break down all the carbohydrates. Also, and follow me closely on this, we're able to kill off things like bacteria. We can kill off different viruses. We can protect our body from parasites. As that acid starts to rise up, 3.0, 4.0, 5.0, 6.0, and sometimes in these super alkaline environments, 6 and 7.0 in the gut, all of a sudden, you can't break things down like fats and proteins. You can't protect yourself from bacteria. That's when we start to see things like bacterial overgrowth and yeast really start to run rampant in the body. So that acid is the foundation of our overall health. In fact, this particular hydrochloric acid, I'll give you the name now, it's called Zypan, and I'm going to make sure we have that link in there. If there was one thing that you were going to start your health journey on, it would be to make sure that you can break down and assimilate your food properly. This goes well before we're trying to do all those other sexy, magical things. But if we can break down our food properly and protect the environment. So remember, protection is a huge part of here. Your immune system starts in your mouth's saliva. Yes, that's where we have these IgA these IgA protectors for our body and our immune system, but they start in our saliva, and that's part of our pH balance. So with that being said, Zypan, which is a combination of hydrochloric acid and a little bit of pepsin. Pepsin is the digestive enzyme, part of which by your body can make. The challenge is often as we go, let's say as we age, it becomes depleted. So let's dive into a little bit and understand, how do you get depleted in this stomach acid? If your body can produce it naturally, how do we become depleted in it? And there's three primary ones. Number one, all three of these are equally significant. One of the ways is through medications. If you're taking any medications, and some of these are going to surprise you, if you're taking birth control, if you're taking antibiotics, if you're taking any medication on a daily basis, most likely your stomach has to overproduce and or inhibit production of this hydrochloric acid. As a result of that, you start to decrease your capacity to break down your foods. And folks, why is hydrochloric acid so important? I'm going to bounce around here a little bit. If you don't have the proper pH, one of the first most fundamental things is you can't break down proteins. Proteins, especially things like red meat and collagen, are the most difficult for the human body to break down, yet they have the highest nutrients. So in the event that you don't have good acid, you're going to start to say things like, man, I avoid red meat now and it feels good. And I will tell you that is a red flag altogether. Because if the red meat starts to feel heavy, it makes you start to feel like you can't digest it properly, it just upsets your stomach, it is a red flag that tells me that your stomach acids are not strong enough to break down though and get all those amazing nutrients. Number one, and I see this right across the board clinically, and so will many of the doctors that are listening to this. In the event that you don't have good, strong stomach acid, 2.3, 2.5, at least down somewhere in that category, your body won't release another enzyme called intrinsic factor, which is the key nutrient that is needed, the enzyme that is needed for your body to be able to break down and absorb things like B12. So one of the reasons so many people are deficient in B12 is because they don't have the proper stomach acids. So medications play a huge role in defeating that. Here's another one. This is going to kind of shock some of you, but all of the antacids out there, the things like Prilosec and Rolaids and the Tums and all of these proton pump inhibitors and antacids, if we really pay attention, and I recognize that sometimes they're needed for a short window, yet all of them, as far as I've seen, all of them recommend that you never use them more than 2 weeks at a time. And yes, I have patients that come into my office that have been on proton pump inhibitors or antacids for over 20 years, which means for over the last 20 years, minerals and proteins have your body's been inhibited in breaking them down properly. And what does that really mean to us? It means that we're becoming a deficient human being. We need things like essential amino acids. Those are your proteins. And if you become inhibited in how you break those down, unfortunately, you're not going to continue to make good, strong human cells. So these acids become super, super important. One of the ways we're becoming so deficient in hydrochloric acid is through medications. Another big one is birth control. So if you're on birth control, you're on it, it changes the pH in your gut, changes the pH in your upper intestines. So we often will see things like the inability or the lack of desire to want to eat animal proteins, and then we also see yeast and bacterial growth to go with that hand in hand. And then usually that with that comes a little bit of leaky gut. All right, that's number one. Number two is going to be age. Unfortunately, as we age, I don't know that it's a direct correlation that you hit a certain mark in your life. I think it's more of an accumulation of all the things that we do or don't do through the course of our lives that we see with age a lack of production or a lower production of hydrochloric acid. So as we age, and just generally, I would say that number is right around 40 years old, that if you're 40 plus, absolutely you will benefit from the use of digestive enzyme like Zypan, which has hydrochloric acid and pepsin in it. Once we hit about 40 and beyond that, supporting your ability to break down your food, the ability to assimilate. And here's the fun part about this. When you start to break down your food better and you literally can absorb your food, the nutrients from your food better, you typically need less. People that don't break their food down, don't have good digestive enzymes, are often never satiated. You eat a big meal, you continue, it's not the only reason, but you will continue to want food afterwards because you simply haven't broken down all the nutrients that your body wants, even though it's sitting in your stomach. The other challenge that we have when you don't have enough hydrochloric acid, so I keep talking about it, we're breaking foods down. It literally makes large particles of food into small particles of food, and then it passes it into your small intestine. If these this food, you're chewing it up. Hopefully you're chewing pretty good. It moves from your stomach into your small intestine. It's still in larger than supposed to be particle sizes. Once it gets in there, that is what starts to create digestive dysfunction. That's where we start to see things backing up a little bit. That's what sets the stage for your parasites, for the poor microbiome situation to take place, the leaky gut to take place. That's where we see the yeast overgrowth and the bacteria having opportunity to kind of do a stranglehold on your digestive system because you're not breaking your foods down properly. So number one, medications often cause this. Number two is age. And then number three, this one I think we all have a little bit of, it's just chronic stress. So we've heard of different parts of your nervous system, what we call your sympathetic or your parasympathetic. In sympathetic, essentially that is the day-to-day energy that you're going to use to operate life, and in that we have it's the go go go. The other side of that is what we call the parasympathetic, and that is when we have rest and digest. So there's a state of being that we're supposed to be in when we are supposed to be eating foods. More often than not, most of us, including myself, are violating that simple law. We're not putting ourselves in a state of being, a nice calm state, to be able to release the proper enzymes to digest our food. So oftentimes, as a result of constant state of stress, we start to see that the body starts to deplete the resources of hydrochloric acid. So here's an interesting thing when it comes to things. What are some of the symptoms? Gas, bloating, burping, indigestion, heartburn, all of these, and reflux. I'm going to focus on those three real quickly here. Indigestion, reflux, and heartburn. It's going to sound really counterintuitive to say when you have those, you actually need to increase the amount of acid that you have in your gut. So hear me out. This is the only thing you catch during this. This is very important because inevitably we think I have too much acid in my stomach, which is almost categorically wrong. Here's the way that it works. Right at the top of our stomach, there's a little valve there called your lower esophageal sphincter. That sphincter should always be closed unless you are swallowing or eating food. All right, drinking water, eating food. What happens, what keeps it closed, is a steady state of hydrochloric acid being present. In the event that you run low on your acid, the food that's in your stomach, that valve starts to open up. And as that valve opens up, it leaks up into the lower part of your esophagus. And everybody is going to describe this a little bit different. They'll say, no, I don't have any gut issues. I just get a little reflux. I don't have any gut issues. I just have a little indigestion. I don't get any reflux. I just have a little heartburn. All of these, quite frankly, are very similar in nature in the sense that the belongings that are supposed to be in your stomach start to leak up because that valve is no longer staying closed. And that happens especially in the event that you don't have enough hydrochloric acid present. Medications, antacids, proton pump inhibitors, too much stress, wrong foods, etc., are going to deplete that. All right, so let's talk about what do we do? How do we use this amazing, what I really think is potentially the single most important part of our digestive and our health journeys, is making sure we have enough digestive enzymes. And again, I know that's not sexy. It's not a single supplement that's going to wipe off 15 pounds overnight or put on 10 pounds of muscle or make you think better, but also it's at the root of all of those. If we cannot assimilate, break down, and absorb our foods properly, all of those things become this uphill battle that most of us are struggling with. So here's how we do it. We want to make sure that we take a couple digestive enzymes. If you're going to use Zypan, which is my recommendation, there's a lot of good ones out there. Zypan's the one I found the most success with clinically, simpler to use. You want to take your digestive enzymes, especially things like hydrochloric acid, prior to your meal. So we want to make sure that you have great acidity when you bring the food in there. So you take a couple of these, typically the dosing's 2 or 3 before a meal, especially if you're going to have like a big old steak or a burger or something like that. You have your digestive enzymes, you have a good acid base, then you put your food in there, your body absorbs it, it assimilates it, you get more nutrients out of there, you get more minerals, you get your magnesium, your zinc, all of these good things. You get your iron pulled out of these nutrients, you get your B12 because you put the digestive enzymes there. Now, in the event you forget to take it right before, take it during, quite frankly, just get it in there. By supplying your body with the hydrochloric acid. Remember, it's not just the digestion of your food. This is what protects you. This is what's protecting you from parasites. And yes, you're exposed to parasites on a regular basis with your foods. We're exposed to them so many times a day, every single day. And what is defending you against those? The level of acid in your stomach. And this, I can't express this enough. In fact, where I practice down in the Panhandle of Florida, we have a lot of people that travel. A lot of different vacations. They might go to Europe. They might go to Florida, to Costa Rica, and every single time I'll get asked, Doc, what should I bring me? What supplements do I have to bring on the trip? Number one is a digestive enzyme like Zypan, hydrochloric acid, so you can protect yourself, because when you go into different environments, the water's going to change, the bacteria, all of the different things are going to be in these different areas. And when people come back from their trips and they say, well, I got a stomach bug, or they have dysentery, and they're trying to figure out what happened to them. Something entered and your acid wasn't strong enough and it didn't kill it off. If you have strong enough acid, almost always you're going to be able to defend yourself. So when do we use it? 2 before each meals, maybe 3, depending on the size of the meal. Also depending on the size, literally the volume of food that you can eat. If you're just going to have a piece of fruit, or you're going to have a little bit of smoothie or something like that, probably not a big need for it at that point. But anytime you're eating animal proteins, and I hope and pray that you are all eating animal proteins on a regular basis, because those have the essential amino acids, those have the essential fatty acids that make good, strong human beings. So anytime you can have animal proteins, give yourself a little hydrochloric acid. If you find yourself with any of those symptoms, you have bloating, you have gas, you have indigestion, you have heartburn, you have reflux, you have candida, you have yeast, any of these, folks, this is a pH issue, and it starts with your upper GI system, which is your stomach. So make sure you start supplying your hydrochloric acid. The reason I like this particular one is it also has pepsin. Pepsin is your primary enzyme, and your body can make this one, but it is your primary digestive enzyme that helps break down proteins. We watch as people age that they lean away from animal proteins and start eating carbohydrates. Think of little old grandma who's sitting around eating crackers all day long, and she won't eat any more steak because it's hard on her gut. That is literally the decline of human function if we have an inability to digest our foods. All right, with that being said, hopefully this episode sits with you and hopefully this episode finds a place into your brain and goes, yes, I have an opportunity to level up my health just a little bit here. Last thing before we leave here, for those of you who haven't heard yet, we are doing our level up challenge in April. This is where we're going to do a level up challenge, carnivore style. Folks, if you're looking for that thing to that line to draw for a short period of time and literally start to level up your health, this is the thing for you. Yes, 30 days is a short period of time, but I promise you it's also a long period of time when you make a commitment to level up your health. What are we going to do during this time? Some of this I'm going to keep a little bit of a secret from you, because I don't want you in advance deciding, I can do this, I can't do that, it's not going to work, it's not going to work. Give yourself an opportunity. We've had the opportunity to bring hundreds of people through these programs, maybe even thousands at this point, and what's our experience? You level up your health. If you're looking to get rid of some of the pain in your body, you're looking to drop a couple pounds, if you're looking to make a change where you can start to have less brain fog, you focus better, put on some muscle in your body, awesome. This would be a great program for you. Keep posts, stay in touch, because if you're on our email list, you'll see it. If not, just reach out to our office. Maybe we'll put a little link here how you can join up. We will launch that in April. It's a 30-day level up program, carnivore style. If you've never done it, here's what I'm going to tell you. Have the experience. Don't judge it before you've done it. If you're looking for something level up, it's kind of perfect timing right before the summer, especially if you want to lean down a little bit. This is absolutely a perfect fit for you. All right, with that being said, folks, keep doing your thing. Keep sharing it out. Keep leveling up. Hopefully this episode finds a good place into your heart and into your healthy habits. And I'll look forward to seeing you on the next episode of the Health Made Simple Show.